Do you smell? I can't tell. Look at how long her neck is. She's like, whoop. Hello. What is up, guys? It is the Turtle Girl. Welcome to the channel, or welcome back to the channel. Today we are discussing Musk Turtle Care, aka the stinkpot turtle, aka the Sternotherus genus of turtles. Today I'm specifically talking about the common musk turtle because that's what I own 6 of, but because musk turtles are all pretty similar as a family, this can also be applicable to razorback musk turtles and loggerhead musks, things of that nature. Some stuff is also applicable to mud turtles, but for the most part we're focusing on the common musk turtle. Now I believe these little guys are some of the best pet turtles you can absolutely get as a beginner, so let's talk a little bit about their habitat in the wild. They're native to the east coast of the United States and also some parts of Canada, and they usually make their home in shallower bodies of water with slow-moving current, vegetation, soft bottom, pretty typical turtle habitat if you ask me. Females of the species, like this one here, get a bit bigger than males, but they max out at about 5 inches. You can see this here is a full-grown female, and she is about, I would say, 4.5 inches straight carapace length. And you can see they're just super cool, very simple looking, but also kind of prehistoric looking turtles. I think they look a little bit like mini snapping turtles. But like I said, females max out at about 5 inches, males even smaller, maybe around 3.5 inches. So this is a great turtle species that just stays relatively small. This small size means that relative to other turtles, they can be suited for relatively smaller tanks, meaning a 40 breeder for an adult would be what I would consider sufficient if you're going by the 10 gallons per inch of shell rule. You'll also notice that these turtles are also a species that don't really free swim in the mid or top water areas of the tank, but they're described as bottom walkers. So they're a little bit denser than other species of turtle, not necessarily dumb denser, but like literally their shells themselves have a bit less buoyancy, as you can see, kind of the shape of it. They're a little more domed than your average slider or painted turtle, and so they'll spend a lot of time foraging along the bottom, walking along the bottom of the tank, burrowing, digging. They absolutely use the space though, so that's why I say a 40-gallon breeder would be great for an adult. If you're starting off with a hatchling, a 20-gallon long might be a good place to start so that you're not losing the turtle in a super big tank and you can make sure that they're eating all of that. But ultimately, I would say at least a 40-gallon breeder for a full-grown adult. Now, of course, this wouldn't be a musk turtle video if I didn't mention the reason they have their name. They're called musk turtles, or sometimes stinkpots, because they can emit an odor when threatened, which is something some people are concerned about. Honestly, I don't think I've ever experienced it, and even if I did, it must not have been that bad enough for me to notice that the turtle smelled a whole lot. And it's only if they're afraid, so that's just their natural defense. They're telling you, hey, I'm scared, don't do that. But in my experience with having 6 musk turtles, I have not noticed the tank smelling at all. Even occasionally when I have to take them out to do videos like this, or if I'm cleaning the tank or something, haven't noticed any smells, so rest assured that smelliness shouldn't be a huge concern. One thing about this species is that they're often reputed to be poor swimmers, and so many people recommend to keep them in shallow water. You'll see here in this tank behind me, I wouldn't really consider this shallow water. It's about maybe 18-20 inches of water depth that my turtles are in. And I mention this to say that although shallow water is perfectly fine for them, in the case of turtle tanks, more water volume usually means it's easier to keep the tank clean because the waste is being diluted. So my recommendation would be, if possible, fill the tank up with more water, and provided that you have lots of decorations for the turtle to rest on, you should not have too big of a risk of drowning or anything of the sort. You just want to make sure that there's plenty of areas for the turtle to rest mid-water as they're going to the surface to get air. Also, quick interjection before we get any farther along in the video. Remember that pretty much all the other general turtle care rules apply. In this video, I'm not specifically covering like filtration, water change schedules, and that sort of thing, because that's pretty similar across the board for all turtles, but of course that still applies when you're making sure you're properly caring for your musk turtle. As far as heating requirements, musk turtles can tolerate a wide spectrum of temperatures. As babies, I'd recommend keeping them in a heated tank that goes from 75 to 78 degrees, but as an adult, you can either maintain that or I would even say it's possible to keep them room temperature as adults. The biggest thing is just trying to keep that as consistent as possible so that that temperature isn't fluctuating a lot, which usually isn't a problem if the tank is indoors, but just thought I'd mention it. They're also a fairly active turtle, and once they get used to the environment, you'll often see them walking around the bottom of the tank, doing their thing, bumping into walls. They're really a lot of fun to watch as they interact with their environment. Like most turtles, they're not really a handling pet. I'm actually surprised that this one has chilled out as much as it has. But for the most part, they're a look no touch pet that you will be able to watch in the aquarium. Another thing, fish and tank mate compatibility. I would say musk turtles are one of the better options because they're not as fast swimmers as some other turtles. Even though they might like to get a fish snack, they're just not as good at hunting, at least in my experience. Maybe that's partially also because mine are blind, but I've seen a lot of people have a fair amount of success with musk turtle tanks that also have fish. As always, use common sense when you're picking tank mates. Try to go for something a little bit faster, not long fins, so that the turtle will have a harder time capturing it. I won't come out and say that they're plant friendly, but I will say that they are a plant possible species if you're looking to do like an aquascaped or planted turtle tank. Although they're supposedly omnivorous, meaning that they will eat both vegetation and protein. I haven't actually seen them eat any of my plants, but I will say they have uprooted my plants. I don't know if you can see the Anubias that's floating around back there, but that did not succeed staying in the place where I put it, if that's enough information for you. So it's kind of just a hit or a miss. Just make sure that whatever plants you use are safe for the turtle to eat, should they so attempt that, and also preferably a plant that is a bit more durable. Also, if you're doing your shopping for your musk turtle now and you're interested in the things I use to set up my tank, definitely check out the link in the description below. That'll take you to a kit with links to the various foods, decorations, filters, all that good stuff. And you can actually purchase through those links, which will help support the channel. So I would super duper appreciate if you use those if you are shopping for a new musk turtle. As far as diet, like I said, musk turtles are omnivorous, so you can try offering them vegetables. I've never seen my turtles eat vegetables, but mainly what I offer them is a varied diet of pellets. There's specially formulated pellets for musk turtles specifically that sink. I also feed some Hikari cichlid gold that is sinking. I haven't actually observed my musk turtles eat anything really floating on the surface of the water. I've seen some people have success with floating foods, but in my case, I've noticed sinking foods work best. So you can offer them things like algae wafers, turtle pellets, even the occasional snail or earthworm would be a nice treat. Okay, basking habits. This is a really interesting one. If you guys are familiar with turtles, you know that a lot of them come up out of the water to bask, get sunlight, it's good for shell health, UVB, you've heard all these things before. Musk turtles, on the other hand, are just not very frequent baskers. Maybe it's in their nature as bottom walkers to just not come up to the surface and get out of the water as often, but it's just not something that you often catch them doing. For the most part, they'll get their sun and UVB exposure from hanging around kind of the surface of the water, but you may never actually see them come up out of the water. Regardless, I think for any turtle, it's still important to give them the opportunity to come out of the water if they choose. So a floating basking dock is always a great thing to have. I like floating basking docks because they're not too far away from the water, so the turtle will be less intimidated to use that basking area as opposed to something like an above tank basking area where the turtle has to travel a further distance to actually get to the main part of the basking area. I hope that makes sense. I have actually caught my females basking twice and come out of the water twice, but those were both very rare occasions, but it is proof that they may use it if given the opportunity. Of course, with this basking area, it would be good to provide UVB and heat as well. If you're concerned about UVB exposure, you could also use like a tube UVB bulb to light the entire length of the tank, so anytime they come up to the surface, they're getting at least some UVB exposure from that UVB bulb. As far as substrate in their tank, I would highly recommend a loose substrate, not bare bottom, because I've frequently observed kind of digging or burrowing behavior. A lot of times mine will actually nose around the sand and bury themselves under a log or something like that to rest or, you know, hide, do whatever they're doing. I don't know. But I definitely noticed that they enjoy having a sand bottom, so I would recommend that to you as well. Or other loose substrates, basically just mimic their natural habitat as much as you can. Gravel would potentially be okay, but seeing as they are also foragers, you just want to make sure that that gravel is not big enough for them to actually eat it, or it's small enough so that they can pass it through, like with sand, or big enough that they will not be able to eat it. Again, this is just a personal prerogative of mine. People have kept turtles with gravel with no issues, but especially with a species like this that will eat a lot off of the bottom, gravel would just not be my first choice of substrate. But if you do try it out, let me know in the comments down below how it worked out for you. Now, as far as keeping them in a community, it's definitely possible. The biggest thing is just providing them enough space and then enough barriers and decorations to kind of break up the territory, break up their line of sight. Now, obviously, my turtles are sightless, and so I think that partially contributes to why I'm able to keep 6 peacefully in this tank behind me. I would just say proceed with caution and always be vigilant if you are planning on keeping multiple turtles together. And of course, the bigger the tank, the higher your likelihood of success. So that's basic musk turtle care. If I missed anything, please let me know in the comment section down below. Also, again, if you're looking to do any shopping, definitely check out the link in the description below. Subscribe to see more of these cute little guys, and I will see you guys next Friday. Have a turtly awesome day. Bye!